What? Restoration 1. What's wrong with that? Way to give him a shout out. We're live. We're live now.
Restoration 1.
Just relax.
You gotta clean a screen. Call Christine. Oh, God.
I love this one. Takes so long to get to
I mean, really?
Plymouth Rock is from Africa.
Welcome in. If you were looking for a riveting show, keep moving the dial. This is Anything Goes with Bremer and Jones right here, 21.6 The Net, brought to you through the financial support of our good friends at Natural Therapy Wellness Center. Check them out at 815-385-8190. Sit back as Bremer and Jones chat with people, well, just about anything.
Anything.
Because anything goes.
Correct.
Crack a cold one, pull your masks down, and enjoy. Anything goes. Today, we are talking golf.
Golf.
Right? And we've got a couple of guys who look like golfers. So
You
it's
do
good.
look like
So
golfers.
it's good.
You do.
So it's good.
Battle, really.
You
So
do
it's
look like
good.
golf.
Looking the part.
That's it. And hey, Steph, hi. Long time no see. Oh, hey, and congratulations. Right before we get to the guest, let's let everybody know another jewel in the crown that you wear. Yesterday voted in as District 156 school board president.
Yes.
Madam President,
Madam
welcome.
President.
Welcome in.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
That is a great
You can call
thing.
me Madam President.
Yeah, I will. And we're talking youth golf. We've got Jeff and Rob. And tell us who you are and the club that you represent. So, because I didn't write it down. It's in there someplace, but I didn't write it down.
I'm Jeff Varda, and I guess I'm the past golf coach at the high school for many years. And we started a nonprofit junior golf league for District 15 kids. Although we always take Montini kids if they're interested,
If they're in the area.
and they want to join. Our goal is to get kids out on the golf course. And it was not only myself, but a lot of the kids that I coached in the area, a lot of the players in the area. And we got this thing started about 4 years ago. We've had well over 100 kids participate so far.
That's awesome.
We're involved all the way from PE teachers in district. We've trained PE teachers in District 15 and 156 with the cooperation of a group called the Kids Golf Foundation out of Rich Harvest Golf Course in Sugar Grove, Illinois. So we've trained PE teachers to be able to do golf in their PE classes. We are supporting middle school golf clubs and have actually helped get McHenry kids into the state middle school tournament.
Wow. I didn't know they had a middle school tournament.
So
That's fantastic.
there's the IHSA for high school. There's
Yep.
the IESA for the elementary schools. We've had great cooperation, worked hand in hand with Boone Creek and Rob. Couldn't have done it without their cooperation. And things are rocking and rolling.
That is.
Rob, what do you do at Boone Creek?
So my name's Rob Swino. I'm the head golf professional at Boone Creek Golf Club.
That would be head golf pro. Let's
Yeah.
just use it at pro.
That's
That's
right.
it.
So I always
Yeah.
emphasize that when the golf comes before the professional, it's more of I manage as opposed to professional golfer, where I would be somewhere much warmer and sunnier and
Somebody carrying
making
your
much
bags.
more money,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
That's
How long have you been the golf pro there?
This is my 6th season at
Very
Boone
cool.
Creek. I've been in kind of golf management for just over 10 years. Been involved
That's
in golf as a
fantastic.
sport for many more years before that as well. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah, and Coach Varda came to me. It was about my second year at Boone Creek, and kind of expressed interest in growing junior golf in the McHenry area. Being a former coach and retired teacher, he just saw a decline in the number of participants in the high school golf team on both the boys and girls side, and we kind of said it was probably just from them not learning at an early enough age. That's kind of a tough sport to just randomly decide to try to join. Let's say freshman year of high school, you'd have to learn a little bit before that to gain your interest. So we said, well, we'll target it towards kind of the elementary and middle school kids. He raised, a number of funds through alumni and past team members and stuff like that to help kind of provide the facility fees and everything like that. And once we got the contacts through the school, that's how this kind of all snowballed, 4 years ago.
Great.
Was getting all the kids into the program as kind of a free look, let's say, into the sport of golf. Because that was kind of the thing that parents didn't understand, was how do I get my kids involved in golf, especially if they're not golfers,
Right.
Is how do I teach my kid how to golf if I don't know how to golf?
Mhm.
And just because you have golf clubs doesn't mean you're a golfer.
That's right.
I mean, that's true. That's
know.
definitely true.
Right.
Ain't easy.
Now, you're the only golf club for the elementary schools? Is that correct?
Well, let me see how I could rephrase that. So we offer a variety of activities for kids from all the way from second grade on up through entering high school. And we actually support the girls golf team at the high school as well during the summer. We have a program that supports them and their use. But part of what we did was help the middle schools organize their clubs. So, and then we help them when they are involved in their activity. And so Parkland does it. They have a session in the fall and a session in the spring. We have the spring session going for Parkland right now. I think we had 12 kids going, and we're going to be bringing them out on the golf course for the first time on Thursday. So
That's
it's
awesome.
Very
always,
cool.
always fun.
I don't know why my loser kid didn't join that.
Well, that is a good question.
Right? You should talk to him next time you talk to him.
Listen, I mean, it's as fun as bass fishing.
I've never done that either.
I used
agree.
to fish when I was golfing.
I
So
would
my
agree.
mom had dropped me off. The course was right by the Illinois River. It would flood. I'd play a couple holes and then go try and catch catfish.
I mean,
So it's a lot about being Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer.
so, golf is starting to become a little more glorious
Yes.
in America, right? But it was always football, baseball, and basketball, and and I want to be like Michael Jordan. And when you look at all the kids who play, I played collegiate basketball, and there's some days it's hard to walk, right? Because you just beat your body. And I try to tell my kids, I'm like, you can golf till you're 80.
Right.
I mean,
And that was always one of our stressing points, with the kids coming out, because golf has still got a bit of a stigma to many, especially if they do play other sports,
Yeah.
is that golf is kind of a boring sport or a lame sport because there's not as much contact or action as some other
Yeah.
sports, but what we always did was we strive to have kids from the high school team on it now explain that they also are on the baseball team or on the basketball
Yeah.
team. So I don't have to just be a golfer, and then talk about all the different avenues you can do with it. You can play it for competitiveness. You can play it for leisure. You can play it with family, with friends. There's so many different ways it can go about where, especially at the high school level, if you play basketball, it's either you're kind of on the team or you're not.
Yeah.
And
Tobin, thanks for listening, Tobin. Shout out down in the Tampa area. But he says go bowling. Rob, you got to go bowling at 7, right? So you got a hard stop here.
So that's to me always the,
You have to
the
be there at
perfect
7?
7:15.
7.
So,
Where's it
just in Johnsburg.
You
And
got it.
Rob also
Yeah.
coaches
Just cut
bowling
back.
as well.
Yeah.
He's got
so,
it bowling, huh?
So I cover both, seasonal
Nice.
swings here.
Yeah.
I
Look at
golf
you
in
go.
the summertime. I bowl in the wintertime. So.
Let's talk. I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
Number 1, the stigma of golf
Yep.
is expensive.
Yes.
It's expensive. I may or may not have an ex-husband who may or may not have a ridiculous obsession of golf. You probably know him. And it was very expensive. Is it?
Doesn't have to be.
That's what I
Right.
wanted you
So,
to
for example,
debunk.
when I was a kid, I grew up in Peoria. Peoria had a great park district. We had 4 golf courses. I bought a $25 youth pass and off I went. And that was my summer. But also, if you've looked at the cost of other activities, whatever they are, they are extremely expensive these days because kids are starting to get special training, if it's baseball or volleyball or whatever.
Listen,
And I think golf's pretty competitive.
Golf, I would say, at the junior level is one of the least expensive sports
Really?
at this point. As an adult, golf is expensive. Paying for greens
What
fees,
about that?
equipment, everything like that. So the equipment too, is still, relatively inexpensive, right? If you think of like take baseball for example. So my father runs a feeder baseball program for junior high kids going into high school and everything like that. And travel baseball programs can cost thousands of dollars for the summer.
That's true.
A good
Got
pair
boys.
of cleats and a bat. I mean, that's going to cost you another couple of $100 and stuff like that. A set of junior clubs, what's nice is now they package them all together. So you get the bag, the clubs, basically usually 7 clubs or so, which is more than enough for most kids. Runs you maybe $150.
Really? So that would be like $150.
Let me say 2 things. First of all, I would always be with the high school kids, right? The kid would be playing poorly and they'd go to mom and dad and say, I need a new driver. And I would say, no, you don't need a new driver. Okay, you need a new swing. But you need to practice more. You need to be a little bit more competitive. So if you're going to get into that and it's all about the show, then it can cost you really good money. But it's really about what golf should be for kids, which is about being outside.
being
The
active.
skills and characteristics you learn from golf. And this is what I really love about golf. Remind me to talk about Youth on Course and the $5 cost. Is that it's one of the few sports that kids can participate in today where they don't have an adult standing over their shoulder, where it doesn't have to be organized. Once they kind of learn how to hit the ball, you can drop them off at the course. They can go out on their own. And I love that because I think they learn, individualism and responsibility.
So I have, my kids are basketball players, and trust me, I've dropped thousands of dollars every summer.
Sure.
For
My kids are
basketball,
baseball, and that's the same thing.
And you would think, well, you're just buying shoes and shorts or whatever, right? I mean, you literally the equipment is not there's not much in basketball, but we've invested thousands of dollars into our kids for that.
Yeah.
But and it paid for some school for one of our daughters, which is excellent, right? So which is nice. Now the interesting thing with golf is, to your point, my clubs are probably 10, 15 years old.
Right.
And they're Wilsons. Now I could, don't laugh at me.
I play Wilsons. That's why.
Right.
That's why
So I could go out and, get the pings and, it depends on, but what I tell people is it really depends on how often you golf and how serious you're going to be. Now, unless you're getting paid a lot of money for it, you're kind of a weekend warrior. It's not a ton of money, right?
Right. You can definitely go down the rabbit's hole and spend thousands of dollars on equipment, but you don't have to.
Right.
That's the
and so you'd be amazed what you can find at some garage sales and whatnot too.
Absolutely. The thing I tell
You could always have them re-gripped.
Right.
Learned about that in my marriage.
That's right. The thing I always tell
that had nothing to do with golf, though.
I really know way more about
that
golf.
had nothing to do with golf.
The thing I always tell parents, at least for golf, right, is that that's where the equipment can definitely matter, and it's not as much about how much money I'm spending on it. It's more the sizing of it, because a lot of kids will show up with like grandpa's old set of clubs, and let's say they're 12 years old. The clubs are going to be too long, too heavy for them, and that's going to develop bad habits. Similar to like if I was to borrow, my big brother's shoes or something, and they're 3 sizes too big. I'm not going to be able to effectively play basketball in shoes that don't fit. It's kind of the same thing. So, and the thought process is in the right place for parents to say, well, my kid's going to grow. So if I buy him a set now, they're not going to be any good next year. So why don't I buy him a set that's a little big and then he grows into them?
On the other hand, I'm going to say a couple things. And one would be, it depends on the purpose that your kid's playing golf.
Sure.
If he's out to have fun with his buddies, be outside for a couple hours, and he's got Grandpa's 9-iron, which feels like a sledgehammer. It's just another part of what's good about golf, which is problem solving. He's going to find a new balance point on that club, and he's going to go and play golf, right?
Right.
And so, but if the goal is to be good competitively, okay, and that's the same for any sport, though, right? If you're going to play picnic volleyball, you don't need, a $200 volleyball. So, it kind of depends on what the purpose is.
Sure. And Stephanie asks, how do you know what size to get? I'm guess she's talking clubs, because the golf ball's basically the same size.
Yes, golf balls give you the same size. So for clubs, with juniors, they do a good job of basically labeling the boxes, and it's based on height variances. So let's say from 40 inches to 50 inches, this is how tall your kid is. You would buy set A, and they're usually color coordinated. So it'd be like the blue set is for this height, yellow set is for this height, and so forth. And there's a range of it. So you'll see it fits a size of kids, of varying heights.
Yeah.
And what I usually tell the parents is buy the set that fits them now. If they have a growth spurt in a year and they're a little tall, they're better off with a set that's slightly too short than a set that's too long. A short set does not develop bad habits like a long set would.
I would say the key is, one, if you're going to, you can get fit by a professional. Again, that's if you're at that competitive level. And one of the things that we actually get free golf clubs for the kids in our program.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was trying to hint to that because my friend, remember Tracy from Florida, Tracy Zarni?
Yeah.
Her son took the program with you guys and got free golf clubs.
Yes.
So when we first got this rocking and rolling, and we were trying to figure out, and we were looking to see if there were other programs and why reinvent the wheel, we came across this group, Kids Golf Foundation. It is connected to real estate. Rich, I call him Richie Rich, but it's not Richie Rich. It's
Rich Topper?
The guy that started Remax.
Oh, okay. I don't know his name, but I know who you're
And
talking
the last name is Rich, and he's rich.
Yeah.
And he owns an incredible golf course in Sugar Grove, but he also has this Kids Golf Foundation. And so we hooked up with them, used part of their curriculum, and as part of that, they give us, the kids come and they get measured by height, and they get a free set of golf clubs, junior golf clubs.
You can set them right up on it if you want.
If you want to, here's I don't know what, this is probably the smallest, right, Rod? I'm guessing.
That one's one of the medium sizes, I think.
And of course,
'Cause that's a wedge.
and of course, for our
My
midget,
son's 5 feet.
for our
Cool.
midget
That
friends
sounds
out there,
good.
those are good too.
So
Maybe
it's always,
both, yeah.
or
He'd
someone
probably
who's
do
been
one
drinking
setup
too
for
much.
that,
This is
one
perfect.
Yeah.
But I was going to say control's the issue. The kid has to, he has to be able to control, and like with Grandpa's club, he's probably going to, choke down on the thing. But
Those are so
it's nice
tiny.
to have these things.
But you don't hook the pinky and the pointer
So-
finger, huh?
These are nice
do
clubs to
you
get
do that?
for free.
Yes.
Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
to
So
sign
yeah,
my
the
kid up
program
for
is
this.
the program.
It's not too late. Parkland
That's right.
going
the
on
Kids
on
Golf
Thursday.
Foundation is sponsored through Wilson Golf, which makes those sets. So yeah, so that's kind of the
But these are nice clubs. You get these free, ladies and gentlemen, if you join this club. And I might just sign my kid up.
Pete says, my wife has a full-size woman's Hello Kitty set. Super fancy bag, clubs, club covers, and all. My set is green.
I love Pete.
And Tobin says, even though the balls are the same size, they're manufactured a little differently,
Yeah.
right? For
there's definitely again
length and spin.
balls that,
Shaft.
balls
Yeah.
that cost.
He said shaft.
Nah,
You let that go.
nah.
You
It
totally
could be
let
kids,
that
like that. I know.
Yeah, there's
Watch
definitely balls
myself.
that cost $15
Yeah.
for a pack of 3. There's ones that cost $6 for a pack of 3. It all
That's
depends
nice.
on
Got some nice Callaways right here
Yeah,
from our
depends
good
on
friends
what-
over at Health
what
Markets.
your desire is for it. It most golfers wouldn't see the difference between one golf ball to the next.
I certainly don't.
You're talking more of like
I know.
tournament style players. that
What
are
about
gonna
Pro
see
Vs? Like,
enough.
aren't those important golf clubs?
That's-
Aren't those like $60 a thing?
That's the golf ball, right? Which is
That's the golf
like
ball that.
$50 a dozen.
Do you think I have
usually around,
disdain about this?
Yeah, they
I
sound a
mean,
little
this
better.
is all the stuff
You might
I
want
know.
to talk to your
I'm gonna
therapist.
write down his name.
So
No,
if anybody's out there listening and wants to get involved with this club, how do they where do they find you? What do they do?
So for us, the clubs that are offered, like for example at Parkland, they would learn about it at the school. For our upcoming program, and this year we've usually hold it in May and June. and then have follow-up programs during the summer. You would hear from it through District 15. This year we've had to, because of COVID, we've had to move it back, and we'll be starting in August this year. It'll run in August and September. And again, it'll be through the school district. We'll send out an e-blast to all the parents that we're having a meeting coming up. Come and ask questions, sign up, get all the information that you need. And then that's the protocol that we use.
I love it. And so now now the Parkland Club, you said, is getting out on the course for the first time this week. They're going to play 9, or do they just do a few holes, or what?
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, right? We'll just go out and we'll have some fun and get them out there. They're usually kind of odd. And the first time they get onto a green, and they they can't believe what a green is like. But
and the idea is, Mom, Dad, drop them off.
Yep.
Mom, Dad are not their caddy. Come on, choke a guy.
Do they walk it?
We will have
They do 9 holes.
we'll have one ex-McHenry golfer will
Okay.
be with each group,
Nice.
girls and boys. We have a very
Fantastic.
strong girls program, and it's growing and growing at the
That's
high school,
great.
which is awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
And I have to tell you, I've been on the school board 6 years, and I have seen some phenomenal scholarships for golfers.
The Evans Scholarship
Yes.
through McHenry High School,
Yes.
I believe, if you did the research, has probably provided more scholarship
Mhm.
money to McHenry students than any other scholarship.
I mean, I don't doubt it. Like I said, I've watched a lot of the senior awards nights, and I was blown away by the golf awards.
it's full
It's
room
good-
and board,
Yeah.
and you have to be associated with some faction of golf, usually at McHenry Country Club.
hmm
And let me just mention that because McHenry Country Club's been a great supporter of junior golf in the McHenry area. For years and years, decades and decades and decades, they've allowed the high school team and hosted the high school team out there. You couldn't add up the amount of money that they've donated that way. But they have a caddy program. They have an extremely strong caddy program. And I'm not sure if it's too late to become a caddy this year, but it's another great way to meet
Don's
people
very
and
caddy.
golf skills.
Oh, kitty.
Just kidding.
Yes, but I've been blown away by the financial support.
Well,
that
and
it's
see,
given children.
that's the other myth, right? Everybody wants to get the football scholarships, and listen, unless you're like a grade A athlete, you're not gonna get those scholarships.
Mhm.
There's more scholarships in golf, in rowing, in the other sports, because they have to bail them out that way. Hey,
Now, talk to me about the science of golfing. So you're the golf pro, you're a golf coach. What is it? How do you know where to aim? I go to Top Golf and I don't even know where my ball goes.
Sure. So
Seriously, it's true. I don't even know where a ball goes.
They have alcohol at Top Golf, right?
They do. I don't know
Don't
what you're
know if they're-
implying, Jeff.
I don't know if there's a connection.
Did you
or not,
tell him
but-
about me?
Hey, yeah,
Just ask me.
as Tobin says, bowling's a lot easier. You're a lot closer to the bar.
But I'm serious. Like, how do you? I have watched people golf.
Sure.
They hit a long drive.
Right.
How the heck do you know where the ball went?
So a lot of it is technique. I would say the bulk of it comes down to like your fundamentals before you even start swinging. So how you hold the club, how you stand over it has a lot to do with how you're going to be able to swing the club. Where people go wrong with golf, I think, is they make it too stagnant, because the ball is just sitting there. We stand over it, we get rigid, and we try to aim it too much. If you think of any other sport where it's more reactive, right? Let's say tennis. The ball gets served at me. I don't have time to think about, I've got to hold my hand like this and drop my shoulder like this and do all this. I'm just swinging the racket to hit it back. So that's a lot of times how we try to make golf is more of a reactionary thing where it's like, okay, there's the ball. Look at your target, look down, make your swing. And a lot of times the ball has a tendency to go in the direction it's supposed to if you let it. Just like a pitcher throwing a ball to a catcher. He's not exactly thinking, okay, elbow at 90 degrees, extend my left arm out, look at the catcher's mitt and point my shoulders at it. He's just seeing the mitt and letting his arm go. It's kind of the same thing. Now there's definitely technique to setting up properly to make sure that my feet and kind of the club are pointed in the right direction. But once you've got that down, it's really just kind of letting the swing happen.
Yeah.
I would say that people try and control it and it's an athletic move. With the kids, we use 3 interactive things. We do 3 drills before we start. And one is imagine somebody that you're angry at. All right, let's punch them. And we go through a punching drill where we just come back and we release. Or skipping a stone. You're skipping a stone. That's another good motion. And we have an X drill we do just to get the body movements. They're athletic body movements. But you'll see people get stiff, like Rob was talking about, and just try and control it to make it go. You got to swing the club through the ball. And whatever happens. Be
That's
happy
pretty cool.
with it.
I shared with Jeff a couple of weeks ago, maybe, about we lived just minute from a par 3, and my dad took us out there. And I remember my dad always saying, because I played baseball and, all that. And he says, you got to understand with golf, it's a swinging hit, not a hitting swing.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't, and when I was, in junior high, I'm like, oh, whatever. Right. And everything, slices off or whatever. But as I get older, I tell myself that I'm like, don't just swing the club and let the club hit the ball. And
it's a lot of times what I tell people in lessons is that, your object or your goal is to basically swing the club back and swing it forward. The ball is merely getting in the way of the club, if you look at it that way. Because other times people do. They stand over the ball and they try to hit it. And then they kind of stop their swing. They're like chopping at the ball.
And then the grass comes out.
Right, which the grass is going to come out anyways. That's kind of a part of it. That's
why we don't play in the living room.
Right,
is that
exactly.
why?
Or in mom's yard.
Right. Neighbor's yard's fine. So there's two questions I have. One is, what lesson is it that teaches us how to swear at the ball? And the other is, how good do you have to be to make that thing spin backwards when it hits the green?
So the first part, swearing, that just comes natural.
I'm kidding.
I thought it was a gentleman's sport.
I'm kidding, kids. We don't do that. It's a joke, and we are entertaining.
It is, but to that point, it is an emotional sport.
Yeah, it is.
And that's, I think, to me, especially at the high school level, you think of teenagers and how emotional they are to begin with, that we have to learn is to control our emotions on the golf course, because it's not a sport that many can play angry. Other sports that are, let's say, high intensity, let's say football. If you get mad, it kind of makes you a better football player times, But golf, it just makes you worse most of the time.
It
so
does.
You've got to be able to control it. Like, it's impossible to not get mad. You hit a bad shot, you're going to get mad. The key is to just get mad, forget about it, and then think, okay, I've got to hit my next shot.
That's what the walk is for.
Right, exactly.
Even if it's 5 steps, that's what the walk
is. Or the beer from the beverage cart.
Yeah. Well, that's hard to do, right? How do you? And a lot of these kids, of course, are part of the club, are doing it for pure recreation, right? Getting out and just enjoying the outside, being around friends. But everybody's got that little bit competitiveness in them. And how do you talk to them to say, listen, let it go by the time you get up to the ball? Right? Because every shot is a new shot.
I tell them to, have reflection after the round, to think back, okay, here's what I did well. Because usually we, in addition to the Kids Golf Foundation clubs that we run, I do a thing called PGA Junior League, which is basically like a summer golf league.
Right there, we got some hats.
The kids practice once a week,
yeah.
And then we have matches on Sundays where they play 9 holes. And at the end of the round, as the kids come off the course, I always ask them, tell me one thing you did well and one thing you want to work on. I never like to say, what did you do bad?
Yeah.
I always want to say, what do you want to work on? Because then it turns it a little bit. So if they say, my putting was terrible, say, okay, at next practice, focus on your putting. That's kind of how I tell them to deal with their emotions, is use it as motivation to get better. If I'm a terrible putter, I should be spending most of my time practicing my putting.
Mm-hmm.
Where a lot of golfers go wrong is the most fun part of this game is hitting drives.
Ball
goes the farthest, everything. I get to use the biggest club, everything like that. Yet it's the most insignificant shot in the entire game. So why do we spend so much time doing it? Well, because practicing the other parts is kind of boring in retrospect.
Sure.
But, if I truly want to be a good golfer, that's what I should practice.
Yeah. And if you want to be a good golfer with anything, the pros, they're hitting thousands of golf balls a day. a day, right? Maybe in a couple hours. They just, are always working on it, just like any baseball or football.
What's cool
or whatever.
too is a big portion of this sport is self-taught.
Yeah.
If I go to the driving range by myself and I'm hitting shots, I'm going to figure out what is working well and what isn't. It might not be technically right or wrong, but that's the fun part about this game is there really is no technically right or wrong.
Right.
There's just what works or what doesn't.
So I wanted to just emphasize again, one of the characteristics that I think is valuable for kids in playing golf. And when we get to the competitive level, and that's that development of independence. I mean, you play an 18-hole high school tournament. You're out there for 6 hours in the elements, and by the time we get to the high school season, it's often windy and rainy and cold. You're hauling 50 pounds on your back, and things are, I can guarantee you, they're not always going to go your way. There's no coach out there to call timeout and say, oh, relax or whatever. You got to do it, right? And so the goal has to be you do it for the team, right? It's not, even though you're playing as an individual, your score is going to count towards the team score.
Yeah.
So that's part of it, right? Is okay. Yeah, I could lose control here. I can throw my sand wedge or whatever.
Done that.
Really?
I always like the sand wedge throw at fundraisers, but that when you see that kid out there struggling and having to deal with it himself and the independence that they develop during that process, it's cool.
I mean, the problem solving, the physics, the understanding that, okay, I don't change my swing, I change my club. Right. Because of the angle of the blade.
Right. And that's what I always tell people is kind of the cool part about this sport, as opposed to any other sport, is that I can have basically one basic swing that covers 75% of the shots that I need. All I have to do is understand which equipment to use. There's no other sport where I can say, I'm going to use my home run bat or I'm going to use my base hit bat. It's like I'm going to use my one bat.
Which club do you...
Tim Santos, how are you? Tobin says it's the putter I usually throw.
Yeah. What club do you recommend in Topgolf to kill all of the angry birds?
Oh, that's a good one.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
I've never been to Topgolf. Thanks, Christine.
Topgolf is a lot of fun. Topgolf has brought a whole new kind of breed of golfers out there. Let's say we call it kind of. They actually have a term for it, but I'm blanking.
Crazy people.
Well, it's just it's
a little more loose.
It's in the sense that they're golfing, but they're not on a golf course, right?
Yes.
So that's been a debate amongst like the golf community: is do they actually count as golfers if they only go to something like Topgolf?
I'm pretty good at knocking down the.
I'm on the side of saying if they're swinging the club, I count that.
That's right.
Look at that. So I technically have been golfing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been on a golf course.
I would say
it's like somebody's
that other aspect of golf, which is just social. The people that play it just socially.
Yeah.
Just to go out with your buddies. No different bowling, right? Your bowling league, you go out on Thursday nights, play 9 holes of golf outside, have a beer afterwards. So there's that, that social aspect. There's just so many different levels that golf can hit.
We of course are networking out there.
Tim just golfed for the first time in 20 years.
Unless my boss is listening. We do a lot of networking out there.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Tim went golfing in Sedona.
Yeah. Well, the hardcore drinkers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to do this, but you know what time it is.
It's swag time.
It's actually our sponsors.
Sponsor.
Time.
All right. So you roll with that.
Oh, you want me to do that?
Yeah.
Anything Goes with Bremer and Jones is brought to you by Natural Therapy Wellness Center, www.McHenryMassage.com, 815-385-8190. Massage therapy, reflexology, acupuncture, Thai yoga massage. Call today, 815-385-8190.
Great for after a round of golf.
Yes.
They can loosen you up.
Or before.
And that was like in your best movie voice. Dial a movie.
Learning from you.
It's awesome. I'm over here laughing. I'm like, God, she's nailing that like the best movie.
Thank you so
Press
much.
1 for Rambo. That is awesome. And guys, again, let us know who you're with and how to get in touch with you. Even give a shout out to Boone Creek is good too. So.
Can I say something? I mean,
when
we started this thing, our whole goal was to get more kids out on the course for a variety of reasons. And number one, for me, I just think it's a beneficial activity for kids to be involved in. But our whole the end goal of our organization was to try and get this thing wrapping up and rolling again, so that kids would be back out on the golf course.
Yeah.
And Rob's done a great job of that, because this kind of got initiated when there was a junior program at Boone Creek that left town and left a big gap in McHenry golf for juniors. And so we've kind of done that. I mean, Rob's got an incredible amount of activities for juniors out of Boone Creek right now. The PGA League is awesome because it's kind of competitive and kind of fun, and it's a great first competitive step for kids that are interested. And then he's got a ton of other things that are really, really cool too.
Yeah. That's awesome. My daughter, she's in 6th grade. She'll be 12 here in July. And I keep going, let's just go out and hit some balls. And she's like, she's a basketball player, right? And she's tall. I'm like, God, you're lengthy. You'd have a nice little stroke. And trust me, I'd rather, maybe do this instead of chasing you around the Midwest playing basketball. And I'm a diehard basketball fan. But how do you get a kid involved? That's obviously the challenge. How does that work?
It can be. It's one of those things where, sometimes, and again, that's kind of goes back to the stigma of golf to some, especially that are competitive in other sports, and I can't tell you how many adults I get that say to me, I wish I would have started when I was younger,
Yeah.
But when I was younger, golf was lame. I didn't want to do golf. I wanted to play basketball. That's kind of the thing that we get from them, and I would say it can start as simply as something more fun based, like going to Topgolf, to someone like your daughter that might be different because it's more about, there's the dinner, there's the food and the
I've never been there.
It's more
It's
fun.
That's what I hear.
Christine.
You're just playing a game and hitting the ball and stuff like that. It's not as much pressure as
it's more of a bowling atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like I
It
would
is,
say
and they have games.
Topgolf is kind of a similar version to cosmic bowling.
Yeah. And they have games.
To
and
an avid bowler, cosmic bowling's not bowling.
Right.
But to someone who, doesn't like the competitive version of bowling, cosmic bowling's fun because I'm just going up, throwing the ball. There's music, there's lights.
Right.
Topgolf is pretty much the same thing. There's lights, there's good, there's good music playing.
There's Angry Birds.
So you play Angry Birds where you hit the ball and you're trying to hit the birds. And
little gentleman's like, take Lucy to Topgolf and get her liquored up.
I think there's a readiness level. Each kid's different. So we took my grandson out. He's 4 last year, and we had the little club for him. And it was obvious after like the first 3 swings he was not going to hit the ball. This was not going to be fun. So we just let him tag along. He was running through sand traps and trying to get frogs in the ponds and stuff. And he just got familiar with the course. I used this. I
was going to ask what that is. Yeah.
I got a bigger ball for him to hit. Okay, and because you want to have a little bit of success, right? Golf is not easy.
No.
And if you're young and you're not quite there physically yet, it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
Right. So I just got this, and he bangs it around. I take him out with me on the course now, and he bangs it around, and
that's fantastic.
And has a good time. And I know it might be a good time for Rob to talk about his parent-kid deal that you have at Boone Creek, where kids can come out and.
Oh yeah. So it kind of goes back to the cost factor of it, right? Is how can I get involved without spending too much money? So that's been one of my initiatives at Boone Creek, is to create ways for families to come out for very little, right? So weekdays, anytime, and weekends after 3:00, juniors are free with an adult.
Wow.
So the adult pays like whatever the regular fee is at the time, and then the junior is free. It's 1 junior per adult.
This makes me angry.
So there's definitely ways to save there.
Dad of the year.
And then it can easily fold into many ways. Like that way the kid doesn't, the parent doesn't feel pressured to have the kid play all 9 holes because they paid for it, right? The kid was free, so it doesn't matter if they hit 1 shot or all of them. They can do stuff where they just ride in the cart. So to many juniors, their favorite thing is driving the golf cart.
So let's
Dawn, is it hot? Is it hot in here? You're turning a little red.
Let's explore this a little bit. 1 second.
Let's
explore this for a minute. So
you're going to throw a slipper at you.
I might seriously kill somebody. So you're saying that a father could take his
or mother,
thank you,
grandmother.
Let's just talk about the father.
Yeah.
Could take an 11-year-old to Boone Creek any day after 3:00 for free to teach their child how to
The
golf.
child would
Well,
be
the
free.
junior would be free.
Correct.
Right. The adult pays whatever.
Well, the adult's going
fee.
anyway.
Right. But yes,
so
they
the
could
child
bring the child
could
with.
go
Yep.
and could drive the golf cart and
Yep.
have a really fun
Fun
father-child
time. Yeah.
moment.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
So, and I feel like I should highlight that in
Yeah,
yellow.
Yeah, we
Whole
might want to.
conversation.
Just saying.
Yeah, check the 40-minute mark of the. You were going to say, Jeff.
There is a new program. It's national. It's called Youth on Course, and of course, the concern was the one that you guys have talked about is the cost, right, of golf. And basically, what they do is allow kids to play for $5,
Yeah.
and then they reimburse. So the kid goes out to play. He pays $5, which is more than reasonable. He's going to be out there for 3 hours, right? That's pretty good entertainment value. And then the Youth on Course reimburses the golf course for the difference between what their regular junior fee would be and the $5.
Oh, wow, nice.
So, and that's cool. And so this year, what we're doing is for kids that have participated in our program and some of Rob's programs is that we're going to pay the entry fee, which is, I think it's 20 or 30, I forget which. We'll pay that entry fee. And then the kids golf program, the Rich Harvest thing that we get the clubs with, they're going to pay the $5 fee. So basically those kids that have gone through our programs are going to be able to play a lot
That's
of golf
awesome.
for a little amount of money.
Now, golf for me is always a trip, but I'm an outdoors guy. So to me, it's kind of zen because if I'm out on the golf course and the phone's not ringing, I'm just kind of, I'm out there and walking, you know. I always find that I do better walking than driving a cart anyway. But for me, I mean, if I'm having a bad day and instead of just going walking in the woods, you go out to the golf course. I mean, there's just for 9, right, is an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on the pace. But to me, it's like zen. It's
It is.
beautiful.
You know, it's. I was in. I played golf this weekend with my brother and 2 of my college teammates. And first hole, it wasn't at Boone Creek. It was in Wisconsin. But the first hole was right by like a creek, and we're up on the tee box, and there's 3 deer in the right by the creek drinking water out of the creek. And I'm like, where else? Like, what other sport would you actually see this in?
That is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So like you can, and again, that goes to kind of how I,
Right.
how each individual enjoys golf.
Yeah, yeah.
And the nature side of it. Like we get deer, we get coyotes, which some people don't like, but at the golf course, they're kind of cool.
I mean,
to
I have
see
a
'cause
club.
they're-
I
A
can
lot of
see a coyote.
friggin' geese.
I
The geese
That's what-
love the golf course.
See, they don't come around Boone Creek as much though, which is nice because we've got all the naturalized areas, all those
Yeah.
unknown areas. The geese hate those because it's a perfect hiding spot for
predators.
Your predators,
Oh,
right?
nice,
So
yeah.
they're like, nope, we're not landing there, But yeah, we get deer, turkeys.
Huh.
There's a turkey right there.
How are you?
I have a question. So let's talk about somebody who's never golfed before. And you're a golf pro. And from, again, my extensive knowledge of golf, I understand that I could hire you, correct?
Yep.
To teach me how to golf.
Yep.
So let's just say I am so inspired by this conversation that next week I call my buddy, because now we're buddies, and I'm going to say, Rob, right? We're
Yeah.
buddies. Rob, I'm going to try it.
Okay.
Tell me how that works. How do I hire you?
It's
What do I
nothing.
do?
It's not like Ghost. He's not going to get behind you.
And make a pottery with
Right.
me? As long as he just doesn't scream at me, I think we'll
Right.
be friends.
Yeah.
Right.
So I personally, you can find me any day at Boone Creek. I mean, I'm pretty much there what seems like 24/7 once the season gets rolling because our season is somewhat short in Illinois. But
Yeah.
What typically happens, let's just talk in generalities, is you would contact me via phone or email, and we would set a date. Let's say Tuesday at 4:00. And usually lessons, like I do lessons in 45-minute increments, seems to work just perfectly because half hour usually goes by too quick and an hour just kind of drags on a little bit. So 45 minutes.
Oh, we know.
Works
We're
really
right
well.
at the 45-minute mark on this
Hey,
show.
we haven't done
Yeah,
swag
I'm
yet. Be
kidding.
quiet.
Yeah. So, price wise, it varies based on instructor. Personally, I charge $80 for a single 45-minute lesson, and then I offer package deals. So for like 3 lessons is $180, or a 5-lesson package is
That's
$250. Usually, to a beginner, the 5-lesson package is usually one I recommend, because it gives us a chance to kind of, let's say, do 1 lesson on each aspect of golf. Right? We can do lesson 1 talking about the full swing and hitting the ball far. Lesson 2 can be talking about the chipping, around the green. 3, putting. 4, maybe a revisit of full swing, and then the 5th lesson actually go on the course and talk about etiquette and what clubs to use and stuff like that. So it's kind of a good introductory package for.
I think you should buy me that.
Okay.
Okay, good to know.
Done.
Did that come in swag?
When do you have? Let's see. You are the school board president. You're the commissioner of something here in town. You run your own business. You're a single mom, and you do this show. When, pray tell?
I'm going to go golfing now just to spite you.
Well,
And Rob's going to take me.
I want you to. I think that would be
Maybe
fantastic.
me, you, Rob, and Jeff will go on a nice little foursome.
Have
That
a
would
good
be-
time.
That would we
You
would
guys
have fun.
take a lady who's never golfed before?
Here's
Absolutely.
now. You've been golfing a long time. You're a golf pro. To watch on a Sunday afternoon, that's just incredible. Right now, I've had the fortune to golf in the Rockford Pro-Am with Paul Stankowski, and the ball sounds way different coming off their tee
Pure.
than it does mine. Is that the equipment, or what is that? Help me out with that, because
Well, it's
those-
equipment and let's say overall tan. I mean, it'd be no different than going to a baseball game and the ball sounds different coming off the bat.
Yeah.
It's the amount of speed they create. The centerness of contact, like they're hitting the sweet spot every time. It's a.
So the ball's supposed to make noise when you hit it?
Oh yeah, well you're
That's
hitting
probably why my
you should hear a nice
angry
little
birds fall down
Yeah.
easy.
with
'cause
with
I-
now that we don't use persimmons, right? That we've got these
Right.
big things. You hear a nice little tink,
yeah, you have
and-
more of a ping than
right?
a-
Which, by the way, hit it right on the screws, right? That
Right.
comes from golf. Is that correct?
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
When you played with Paul, what did you think when you were done? What was your
It is truly amazing, just the control that they have with that ball, and how effortless, just from the hours and hours. There's the once you put in 10,000 hours, right? It is amazing. But he told me, and I shared with you, he says the problem with a lot of weekend golfers like I am is you're always if you're hitting the ball right, just switch your feet a little bit, hit it right all day. Don't try to correct it while you're out there on the course, right?
Right, and that's one of the things that I try to get newcomers to this game to understand, that it's not about hitting the shot dead straight every time. It's about predictability. Like if my ball always, let's say we call it a slice where the ball curves to the right, if it always does that, I should be able to play that. All I've got to do is learn how to aim to the left and let the ball go towards my target. But so many people fight that and say, I'm going to learn how to hit it straight. I'm going to learn how to, like, if you watch golfers on TV, a great example of it that I always try to say is when Tiger Woods was in his prime, one of the things he would do, and he would get to the driving range in the morning to warm up before the tournament, he'd just start making swings. And if the ball was fading or diving a little to the right, he said, okay, that's what I'm playing today. If day 2 he shows up and all of a sudden the ball, for whatever reason, wants to go the opposite way, he said, okay, that's what I'm playing today. He wasn't going to fight
It's amazing
what the ball wants to do, And you're talking, arguably the most talented golfer of all time that isn't trying to correct his swing on the course. So why do the rest of us try to do it?
Is he going to golf again?
Not the best driver.
Do you think he will? We're
car
having a
driver.
serious discussion. One
Yeah,
second here.
and
He will.
Tiger,
He's-
we want to thank you
now-
for tuning in tonight,
Now,
Tiger.
I would say, will he golf competitively?
I was going to say, will he
Seniors
play
Tour.
Masters again?
It's hard to say.
Seniors
It's-
Tour.
I think even the seniors tour, because
His back's pretty whacked out.
well, no, it's not even that. I think it's just, will he have the drive to do it? He's already accomplished so much that at this point, the amount of hours he'd have to put in to get back to a competitive level, is he just going to say, I can focus my attention elsewhere? especially with, I mean, it was so awesome to see anyone that watched the father-son PNC challenge this year where he played with Charlie and how good that kid is.
That's silly,
12
right?
years old. I in part feel bad for him because I think he's going to have a lot of pressure now that people have seen him and expect him to be like his dad. But it would Tiger see that as an opportunity to say, you know what, maybe I'll, kind of stop the drive and focus more on just being a dad, essentially.
Be good for him.
What's that like? Swag.
Yeah. You guys brought a couple of caps, a little swag. We love hats here. I'm a hat guy.
He is a hat
So
guy.
we've got, it's a 2020 PGA Junior League. Gorgeous.
So this was designed. The PGA Junior League was designed by the PGA to try. It was an attempt to get more juniors playing golf, and so they tried to design it after Little League. Kids have uniforms. They have a shirt. They have a hat. They play on a team with a buddy in team games, and I think Rob, how many kids
you're going to give that?
last year?
Listen, you're going to give that
We've
to
had,
Eli.
We've had 40 kids.
Your boy.
40 kids in the program the
That's
last
a youth.
each of the last
That's a
2
youth.
years.
You're going to give that to him. Well, his dad's going to take him out golfing.
What are you going to have?
Well, I'll wear one.
I won't wear.
All right.
Ready?
Oh my God! I tipped over everything.
Thank you. My son will
I got
love
stuck on my cord.
Maybe he'll wear it when his dad finally takes him to golf.
There you go.
What? Did I say that out loud?
Yeah, the
Yeah, you did. That's okay.
the hats, jerseys. That's kind of the fun part that comes with the PGA Junior League program, because that was the initiative, was that all other sports that kids are interested in early on are team based. It's not me by myself, which is kind of a scary part of golf. Is I'm by myself, so why not create a team atmosphere? So the kids get jerseys with numbers on them.
What?
And
they get golf clubs?
Uh-huh.
That's cool.
What's the number to join? My son needs
That
to join
is
this
cool,
stuff.
right? It is.
I mean,
awesome.
here's the truth: is he. All kidding aside, my son has really wanted to go golfing a very, very long time. He's going to be 12, and he's never gone. Golf is a big thing to his dad, so this would be a great opportunity that he doesn't have to wait.
Can I say something?
Please.
I think he would love golf if he's got a buddy he can go out and play with.
That's true.
It's about friendship. It's about socializing, and playing with your dad, right? So, and it's a life sport, which is cool.
Yeah.
I remember playing with my dad when he was 85, and my son was 16. What else could the three of us have done? We were all competitive.
That's
Fishing.
cool.
We could have played. We could have played poker, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Bowling.
other than that, a physical activity that can be done, together for a lifetime is, and with everybody, right? I mean, you see a lot at Boone Creek, which is cool. You see a lot of husbands and wives trekking out. You'll see a grandpa with their kid trekking out. You just see all these different groups, and it's a social activity that they enjoy doing outside. It's cool. Yeah.
And you have some pretty good golf leagues there, and you've had I've attended a couple of charity events at Boone Creek.
Yeah, and one of the benefits to Boone Creek as opposed to other facilities is we have 27 holes. So typically golf courses are, an 18-hole facility. We've got 3 different 9-hole courses. So for beginners, it's really friendly, because the worry usually for beginners is, well, I don't want other people around me.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like I'm holding people up. That makes me nervous. Given the day and time, we can tell you, like, go to this course because it's less busy. There won't be anybody around you and stuff, and you can kind of relax a little bit. So it's perfect for parents with kids, that are worried about holding up the serious adults and stuff like that, and same for any type of beginner. Like, it's like I can go out and just take my time and have fun with it. So that's a cool part to it.
Okay, wait. I have questions.
Yeah.
How did you get into golf, and how did you get into it?
Yeah, great question.
My father's an avid golfer. He basically, when I was like 3 years old, made me my first couple clubs, where he just took 2 or 3 of his old clubs, cut the shaft in half, basically threw a grip back on it, and that was mine. And I just swung it around the yard and stuff. And then when I was a kid, we were living just behind the golf course. So late in the day, we'd hop the fence and go and play a few holes just before dark or something like that. And then, as I grew up, I played more and more. But, a tough part for me without something like PGA Junior League was I got into Little League baseball. I was always big into baseball and basketball. None of my friends from baseball or basketball played golf.
Yeah.
So I didn't really start taking it, let's say, seriously until near end of high school, when it was kind of evident that baseball wasn't going to go much further past the high school level, and I still saw that there was potential with golf. So
Nice.
You're going. What about you?
So essentially, I got into golf because my dad got too old to play semi-pro baseball and needed something competitive to do. And once he did that, he introduced me to the game, something that we did together. And then it turned into, as I said, Peoria had a great Park District golf program. And my mom would take me and anybody else in the neighborhood who wanted to go, drop us off at the course at 7 or 8 in the morning and pick us up at 4 in the afternoon.
Wow.
We'd spend our days there, whatever it was doing. Part of it was golf, part of it was fishing, part of it was flipping nickels,
Sure.
and some other stuff we probably shouldn't talk about. But and then I got competitive in high school. I played in college. I coached in college, and then and now I do it with. It's a way that I stay in contact with all my friends. We play once a month. We get together, all my college buddies, and now I've got the college buddies and the kids that I used to coach who are now in their 40s with kids and stuff like that. We all get together, and so it's become that kind of social thing for me now. And I still play competitively a little bit, but it's getting harder and harder. I can tell you that.
Did you play in college too?
I did, yeah. I went to Augustana College and played there. So
Nice.
That's cool. When did you first golf?
I would have been in junior high when my dad took me to the par 3 close to our house. And then, basketball was the thing. And it wasn't until after I got married and her dad and mom golfed a lot. So I picked up golfing again. And then I was in the insurance business for a while. And, well, I golfed a lot then.
That was always kind of my dream.
Yeah.
I studied business at Augustana, and that was like my dream that I thought existed, was the sales job, where all I do is take clients on the course and play 18 holes of golf, and then, just sign your name on this nice big purchase order or something like that.
Yeah, so I was a sales manager.
That's
So
funny.
and we kind of ran the top 1/3 of Iowa. So as a sales manager, I said, listen, I've got a tee time on Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, and Friday morning for these times. The people who sell the most, I'll pay for golf.
It is amazing how many of the kids that we had on the high school team who then either played in college or just were still pretty proficient. It became part of not only of them getting hired sometimes, but of their business job.
Yeah.
And so I remember asking Pat Henderson, who played in our team and then played at Loyola, I said, what's the deal? I said, Pat, I never got there because I really wasn't in the business world. He says you share an experience with somebody. And once you share an experience with somebody, particularly if it's fun, he says there's kind of a letdown of walls and bridges, he says. And that's how he explained it. And he says, then you're kind of massaged into being ready to do whatever you're doing in terms of the business.
Yeah, that's true.
Part of it.
Yeah, and it's the amazing thing about golf, and this is what my grandfather said, is every time you go golfing, this was on a putt golf at that time, right? He says there's always one shot that'll keep you coming back. So every time I go out golfing, I look for that one shot, and usually you're like, there it is, right? But now my goal as I get older is to see if I can have 2 or 3 shots.
That's fun. So we have 2 minutes left. If people want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
Easiest thing is just the golf course website. It's Boone Creek GC, G as in golf, C as in course.com.
Oh.
There's a full contact information page on it. There's a link called McHenry Golf Academy that'll have listings of any junior golf stuff or the private instruction. As you mentioned too, we host a lot of charity golf events too for different businesses and organizations, usually in McHenry or McHenry County. Definitely reach out there.
That's awesome.
And what about you?
All right. Well, for our programs, we'll be getting a hold of District 15 parents probably mid-July. The e-blast will be coming out. The meeting will probably be either end of July or early August. So we'll get a hold of you.
Very cool.
That is awesome. And again, what we really want to do here through the month of May is really highlight those people who are giving back to the community. And these two guys have found a unique way through golf to give back to the community, to help build a stronger community, better kids exercising, that it's not necessarily like, hey, let's go run a 5K. You might walk a 5K depending on how many hits you take, right?
Or more so.
But you get out and enjoy it. It's a great time with friends. You don't, and parents out there listening, please listen to me. They don't have to be the next Tiger Woods. They don't even have to try out for their high school team. Just let them find a way to enjoy themselves outside and with a great game, right? And that's
Perfect.
That's
Well
something they can do until they're dead.
That's right. Well, thank you guys for coming and
Absolutely.
spending this hour with us
Sure.
and educating everybody. Give them a call. Look for that stuff in the school information.
Yeah.
I strongly suggest that you guys do this. It's a great way for kids to get a taste of golf.
And everybody, just a quick congratulations, Ted. How are you? Quick congratulations to our good friend Bremer of Bremer and Jones here for Madam President. It was wonderful that you were able to cut out some time here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For all of us here, 21-6 the net, thanks for getting caught in the net with us here for a little bit. We're humbled and blessed that you were with us. Come back next week for Anything Goes with Bremer.
Thanks.
Bremer and Jones, because that's who we are and that's what we do.
Unbelievable.